Hi Internet! Today I wanted to talk about writing versus revising because as some of you already know, I am revising this year for November 2013 and it's extremely critical and important month for me right now. And I wanted to kind of give you a backstory of this novel that I'm writing and how incredibly important it is to me without spilling too many details about what it's about. So I started to write this novel in the beginning of the year. I started writing it during February and I basically just had my own NaNoWriMo during the month of February. It was pretty great. I didn't feel the rush though and the camaraderie was not there, but I still managed to do it anyway. And so I thought it was the greatest story I've ever written. And then I did a second draft during the month of March. I took a month off after that and I reread it again later on. And that was when I found that this story of mine was probably the worst story I've ever written in the entirety of my life, as opposed to the best story I thought it was. So that was a little bit depressing for me. I'm one of those people who have a lot of feelings. It's kind of weird to say. And when I feel kind of down or depressed, it gets really hard. It's almost like you're living inside your own head and your thoughts are so loud, but no one else can hear it. Yeah, it's a very bizarre feeling and I don't ever want to go back to it, but I feel like inevitably I will. It was a terrible time. I was feeling that way and I started on new projects and I got involved in some other projects, but I just never felt the same way I did for the project that I did beforehand during February, and that made me feel worse, if it was possible. I eventually went back to the story. I went back to this original story that I had that I was proud of and that I felt so good writing. And I decided to try to make it into a graphic novel because I thought that it wouldn't do well written. And I contacted my friend who is a graphic designer and he's an amazing artist and he went to UCLA with me, so if we teamed up we would conquer the world. Not really, but we were both pretty good at what we were doing, and so it seemed like a perfect match, you know, it just seemed like destiny almost. Eventually I decided that it being a graphic novel was going to be too hard and not right for what I'm trying to do. I went back to my idealistic thoughts of how I wanted my story to be, and so then I sat down one night when I couldn't sleep. I opened up my laptop and then I started writing. I started writing the story again from the beginning, but in the third person, and it being in the third person really brought out another side to the story, really brought out how the story could be told in a better way. And that was when I kind of broke down. I cried. I can't believe I'm telling this to the internet. But yeah, I cried because I was so passionate about the story from the beginning, and then I reignited this sort of passion that I had. It was really exciting and scary, and I felt happy and at the same time just terrified. And then in the month of October, I started planning it out, and I sort of cheated a little bit, so okay guys. I decided to write the beginning part as many times as possible and as many variations as possible in order to get the right feel of it. So that's what I did. I eventually found one way that I could write it and that I could be proud of it and passionate about it, and I was super happy. And so now for November 2013, I'm starting my third revision on the story. After that really long preface on that journey with my story, I wanted to talk about writing it versus revising it. So when I wrote it, you know, they're both easier and more difficult than each other in different ways. And that's what makes it kind of interesting, I guess. It's kind of easier for just writing it because your story could go anywhere. It has endless possibilities. That's what's exciting about writing, and that's why everyone during NaNoWriMo is just on this creative high, and that's because they're just taking a direction and going with it and taking detours if they wanted to. And that was the exciting part of NaNoWriMo. And so I don't really have that because everything's just kind of laid out for me. But at the same time, for revising, that makes it so much easier because I don't really have an excuse for writer's block. I know what goes on next. I know these characters really well. I know the story extremely well. And I could choose to develop some parts more than other parts. There's pluses and minuses between the two. I feel like I'm not really on the same wavelength as the other people who are doing NaNoWriMo with me, but at the same time, I feel like I'm really progressing and I'm really doing something important, especially for myself. I don't know, I feel really ambivalent pretty much about everything. That's kind of an explanation on what I'm doing for NaNoWriMo. I'm not really sure if this video had a point to it, but I wanted to just point out that I kind of found an area to blog because I've been trying to find an area to blog for a very long time, and I think I found it because there's a window right here and it's shining sunlight on me. And I have books right here because I like books and I like surrounding myself with books. It's kind of like surrounding yourself with old friends. Or I'm just crazy. I can't decide which one. Well, I'm doing pretty well in NaNoWriMo right now. Here's my word count. I really hope you're doing well too. I have nothing else to say. Alright, bye!